Hello and welcome to the Be Formless Flow Driven CEO podcast, where we are reshaping life, leadership, and business from the inside out. I'm standing up today, everybody. Hello, listeners, and welcome to the show, Janelle Bridge. Welcome, Janelle.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. We were just having a good old chit chat. Happy belated birthday for
Thank
last
you.
weekend too, the big 4-0. How do you
Mhm.
feel? Do you feel younger, wiser?
Feels so wise and in my power, but I also do not feel 40. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like 32, but I do feel in my power, which is nice.
I love that. Yeah, it's so good when a woman can say she feels in her
Mhm.
power. Power, that word can be used so masculine, can't it? And then it also can be so liberating for
Mhm.
men and women in terms of if you use the power wisely, so much becomes possible, doesn't it?
It does. And women are so powerful. We just need to stop trying to be like men and embrace our own feminine power because it's ruthless but incredible.
I agree. I agree. Well, I'm really excited to talk to you, Janelle. Janelle's a fellow Aussie. Everybody lives down the coast, I will say. So a couple of hours here from Melbourne. We've got pretty wild weather today. So here we are. And so let's get on into it. When I met you the other week, I was so excited to talk to you because you've had quite the different career. You're a bit of a serial entrepreneur.
Mhm.
You were a marriage celebrant for 15 years. It'll be fascinating to get into a little bit of that. And you're also now a psychic pattern disruptor and author. And so, Janelle, you help women reconnect with their inner knowing. And so what I mean by that is, as a psychic pattern disruptor, author, you're a podcast host and a mentor. You support women to uncover the patterns keeping them disconnected from themselves. Such an interesting point there. You create lives that, are based in truth and rather than external validation. I'm all about that inside out. Your journey has been shaped by an intentional shape shift, and that was moving from performing with strength and power in not probably the best way and holding everything together to trusting yourself, your intuition, and a different way of living and leading. You're the author of The Process of Breaking Open and the host of the Inner Know podcast. And at the heart of your work is a simple question. And the question is, what becomes possible when we stop looking outside ourselves for permission and begin trusting what we already know? Such a good question, isn't it?
Mhm.
When you looked in for the pod and I asked you what's one unique insight or lived experience whereby you've reshaped life, leadership, and or business, you said by learning to stop performing for external validation and instead building everything, motherhood, relationships, work, and success from a place of deep self-trust and inner alignment. And I should say, you are the mum of a 13 and a 15-year-old. So
Yeah.
the juggle is real.
Yeah.
Tell us about your journey.
Okay, so I feel that I have two children. So as you said, both 15 and 13, both of them neurodivergent. So one ADHD, one autistic. So, and probably all of us are a mixture of all of that within this house, if I'm honest. So for me, I had this view of what parenting and a good mother looked like. And I was not able to uphold that good motherhood because I had neurodivergent kids. So it looks very, very different. Like if you tell an ADHD-year-old toddler to be quiet and sit down, they're not going to do that, right? So I joke that my son came out with 2 middle fingers up to the world, just like, I'm here and I'm here to break my mum open. And I struggled with what people thought of me because of the way that he would be perceived. Because I, was a good kid. I was the kid that did what they were told and all of those kind of things. So you have that narrative of like, I wouldn't have got away with that, or I wouldn't have, and I wouldn't have. And it's so you're constantly questioning yourself. So for me, kids have cracked me open. They were the beginning of cracking me open because until then I was like, what do I need to do to be successful? What do I need to do to look good? What do I need to do to be the perfect wife? And that was not my narrative, but it was subconsciously running the show, which I think a lot of women will agree with. We're not consciously thinking that, but subconsciously we're like, am I enough? Am I doing the right things? Am I good enough? And then I had these kids who just came into the world and were like, lol, we're here to just throw it like a snow globe, like shake it up, chuck you around, see you later, I had to learn pretty quickly that there wasn't expert or a book out there that could actually help me fully. I had to trust myself. It was the only way that I could move forward because a lot of the things I was being told to do didn't feel right and they didn't work. And there were lots of things that simply felt wrong. So I had to really get a really strong sense of trust within myself that my son had chosen me because of who I am and to ignite this in me. That was really
That's so
hard.
beautiful that you call that out
Yeah.
and you came to that acknowledgement as well and realization.
Yeah. And the only parenting moments that I ever regret are when I did what someone else told me to do, or I followed an expert's advice or whatever. But, we're all trying to do our best. But they are the only moments where I go, I feel so guilty that I tried this or I tried that, because it didn't feel right at the time, but I thought I had to, because everyone's telling you, you have to do this, you have to try sleep training, you have to do this, or blah, blah, blah. And when I stopped doing what I had to do and I start doing what felt right, parenting became a lot more enjoyable, but also my son became a lot easier to manage, I guess, if that makes sense as well. So
Yeah.
yeah,
'Cause
it
they pick
was,
up on your vibe, Janelle. They pick up your energy, and we're gonna talk about this. I mean, you're a psychic,
mm,
you're super intuitive, right?
that,
But people pick up on your energy, and so
mm,
when your energy's off or when you're not aligned or you're not centered, like I don't have children, I've got a dog,
yeah,
but Marley Bob, oh my goodness.
they know.
For example, he was so calm, and I'm like the night before, he might as well have been, like running around terrorizing,
Hmm.
barking, crying, everything. And I'm like, what
Hmm.
changed? And it was me. For
Yeah.
me, it was I kind of last night. I was grounded. I was
Mm.
relaxed. He
Yeah.
just chilled on the couch. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just
Yeah.
think that there's something really interesting, and we
Yeah.
don't necessarily quite often realize
Mhm.
that our energy is what.
Mhm. Absolutely. So we share a nervous system with our children. So we share a nervous system with our partner, but we also share it really directly with our kids. You ever notice that kids or pets, and you're heightened, they push your buttons and you think, not today, like I'm already stressed out. And it's like, well, they're heightened because you're heightened. And one of the things that I did was like, I bought all these books on ADHD parenting and we went all these therapy appointments and we tried absolutely everything. So I was turning myself inside out to help my child. When I put all of that down and was like, I'm just going to focus on me for a bit because I'm falling, the ship is sinking, everything changed because I was regulated and because I was working on me. I really brought myself, I guess, to the forefront of the family. Instead of the servant trying to fix everyone, I was like, hang on, I am, I guess, the leader here, the feminine leader, right? And so I need to be okay for everyone else to be okay. And that was when everything started to shift, because instead of me going, because you go to the supermarket and your kids will be having a tantrum or behaving terribly, which I talk about in my book. It's very overstimulating. I totally get it now. Like, it's made me learn a lot about myself. This person's judging you because you didn't yell at your kid. This person's judging you if you do yell at your kid. This one thinks you should smack them. This one thinks you shouldn't. This one
My
thinks you
God.
should be kinder. So you actually are never going to get it right in everyone else's eyes. Yeah. So you have to. So one thing that I learned was like the bubble. So there's a bubble over me and him, and I'm just here to help him through this moment. And everyone else can just go and get effed. Like, they are
So
not
that's
my
funny that you're gonna
problem.
say that. Like, it's so true though. Like, it's just
Yeah.
like, stop. Like,
Yeah.
like
It doesn't matter.
you have no idea what's going
Yeah.
on.
And if
Yeah.
we do
Everyone
that,
has a point of view. Everyone has a judgment. There's
yeah.
such this external judgment at times, isn't there?
Yeah.
And it's like you have no idea what's going on the inside.
No idea. No idea. And it's lonely, right? So it's lonely when you're trying your hardest and people are judging you because you think, I remember my narrative was like, can't you see how hard I'm trying, was often what was going through my mind. And it's like, who cares if she can see how hard I'm trying? Now I'm like, why do you care? Like, we don't even like her. We don't want to be like her. But I really just wanted people to see how hard I was trying. And when I dropped that, and I was like, no, I'm just going to focus on what he needs and what she needs, just life became easier. And then it's like, well, if I can do that for my kids, why can't I do that for myself, right? Why
Now,
can't I do
sorry.
that for me?
Yeah, totally. Can I ask you, when you said just then you were wanting everyone to see how hard you were trying, what were
Yeah.
you looking for? Like, what were you seeking? Was it validation? What was it? Like, because that's a really interesting point you make. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it was validation. This is going to sound really awful, but it's just dropping in and be really honest. I think I wanted someone to realize it wasn't my fault. So I felt like, because you see a naughty child, and my kids weren't naughty. They were overstimulated. They were chaotic. They're hilarious. And now I'd go back and I would laugh and I wouldn't care and we'd have so much more fun. But you see that and you think, that's a naughty kid, or control your kid. And, there's such a narrative around a kind parent and a soft parent and a gentle parent. And that's very much how I operate in this world. I'm a very gentle person. I'm very compassionate. And it's like that mother doesn't know what she's doing. So for me, I am quite calm. So most of the time I do lose my shit sometimes, but I felt like people were judging me that I wasn't doing something because I wasn't reacting in anger or like
Yeah,
psycho,
okay.
but that's actually a reflection of how they would act. For me, I felt like, can you guys see it's not my fault? Like I'm doing my best. So it was almost like I wanted to not be to blame when I felt out of control. Does that make sense? It's kind of hard to
No, it's a really
explain.
good, yeah, because
Yeah.
I was really interested in that because I'm like,
Yeah.
why were you looking for that? And no, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
Wanted people to know that I was a good mum. That's what I wanted. And I wasn't being a good mum because of that. I mean, I've always been the best mum I can be, but I look back now and I go, I'm a great mum because I don't give a shit what anyone else thinks. I care about how my kids need me to show up and
Yeah.
that's it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so important. And
Mm.
so, okay, so that's all happening. Are
Yeah.
you a marriage celebrant at this point? Like, where?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was a marriage celebrant and I loved that. It was such a great role to have around children because again, everything that I kind of have shapeshifted in my life has been like, well, I don't want to live like this. I've got to find something that lets me live how I want to live. So
Yeah.
for me, becoming a marriage celebrant was something that I wanted to do because I knew we were going to have children. And I was like, I'm not working a job full time and having a baby. Like that just felt really foreign to me. I was like, I'm not doing that. No way. I'd worked full time since I was 15. So like I'm no stranger to hard work, but I was like, this is my child. Like I want to be with this
Yeah.
child when they come. And so a celebrant was so great because I love and I love speaking, as you can probably tell. Give me a microphone, I'm happy. I love writing. So it was an element of meeting people, learning their story, writing an incredible ceremony, and then getting suited up and like going for an hour, right? So there was a lot of work behind the scenes. There's a lot of legalities, but on the day you get to go officiate a wedding and then go back to your babies. So for me, that was amazing. Like, and I still love it, but I feel like there's a bit more intention and depth to what I do now. But it was kind of the start of like that ritual and that connection and
Yeah.
words and yeah,
And
yeah,
relationships. You would have seen like it would have
relationships.
been fascinating for you to
Yeah,
see. And like,
many of those are
you know
not
what?
together anymore.
Yeah, I found this, I was thinking that before. I'm like, I wonder what the stat is of how many people.
Oh, I think the stat in Australia is about 2 out of 3 will be divorced now. So I used to have a happy couples like gallery on Facebook because that was where I got all my business from. And I was quite young. So people were like, oh my God, a young celebrant, which was really foreign then as well.
Yeah.
Then people would message and be like, can you please take that photo out of my happy couples folder? Because like we're not together anymore. So like I had, hundreds and hundreds of clients that were whittling down to those who stood the test of time. There was a stage there, like where my best friend separated, my brother separated from his wife, and another really close friend separated all within the same week, and they were long-term couples, and it broke my heart. Like I'm a
Yeah.
25 years into a relationship. I love love. I love commitment. And I remember going, like driving to a wedding ceremony and thinking like, what's the point? It doesn't mean anything anymore anyway. And then I was like, okay, it's probably time to shift out of this a little
Yeah.
bit,
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
not about the wedding. It's about the everyday moments. So,
Agreed. I
mhm.
agree. It's such a ceremony, isn't it? Like,
Yes.
I've never been married. I don't
Mhm.
know. I don't know whether I ever will. Yeah, for me, feels like a piece of paper. Like,
It
I
is a
know that
piece of paper. Yep.
sounds terrible, and I
Mm.
should, So then what? So then what happens? So you're doing this.
Yeah.
So then, how
Yeah.
did you
So
come to this psychic?
there's a
How,
bit I'll tell you the recap really as fast as I can.
so
So my husband was working as a prison guard. He started that job really young, like 23, which is crazy now that I look back. He's such a baby. He loved that for a while, but he'd started a band and they were getting paid, and he kind of got a taste of like, oh, you can get paid for something that you love, right? And once
yeah,
you get the taste for that, you're like, I'm not doing something I don't love. Like, what are you
yeah,
talking about?
totally.
It's very hard. So he kind of went, I need to leave the prison. And I went, I got 2 children, But of course, like whatever you need, babe, like let's do it. And so we kind of went, what could we add on to my business that was doing so well? I didn't ever want to be a celebrant that was doing 5 weddings a weekend because for me, like it's a big, like I love you. Like I'm your celebrant. I love you. I'm invested in your future. I don't want to be like, who's this person? What's next? That's not
Yeah,
how I wanted to
totally.
live.
That's transactional as well, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I feel like you just eventually make a mistake and you don't want to make a mistake, you
No.
know? Um,
Yeah.
so we added on wedding decor. So we bought some chairs. We literally went and cut down some trees. We made an arch and we did wedding decor packages. And that took off so quickly that we actually couldn't keep on top of it. Like we were like, this is a beast. Like what is going on here? So we added a photo booth because we thought this is kind of a one night stand. Like they just book us. We don't have to talk about details. Like done. then that grew insanely. So we ended up having 13 photo booths. We did 700 events a year. And that was, so my husband was able to leave his job. I stopped doing weddings because like I didn't need to, because it was just like, you're booked in, we're sending a staff, thank you for the money. Like it was hard work, but it was very different. And I got to be
Yeah,
behind the
totally.
scenes a little more. And then COVID came. We worked really hard to set it all up and have this crazy running. It was very stressful, don't get me wrong. And then COVID was like, hello, you have no income. Like you guys are done for, because my backup was marriage celebrant, band was paying, big gigs every weekend, music industry shut down, events industry shut down, $0
Crazy.
instantly. And I remember it. We spent $15,000 on ink getting ready for the months ahead. We shut down the next day for 2 years. So like devastating, absolutely
Yeah.
horrendous. Like my heart still hurts when I talk about it. And then you got to go through, you're working for nothing because there was so much paperwork and rescheduling and shuffling and things. And I had been studying psychic development for maybe 2 to 3 years beforehand. It was just a random, like, I'm doing something for myself. And I talk about this in my book. It was the first choice I feel like I've made in my life where I was just like, because I want to. Like, it made no sense.
Yeah.
My husband was like, are you okay? And I was like, I'm doing it. It was just for me. Like, it was just a space where I sat in the classroom and I was like, whoa, like, this is so cool. I didn't think I had anything. I just thought this is amazing. And then it started to unfold in class and I was like, I'm really good at this. But like, I didn't want to tell anyone because like people would think that I was crazy. And then when COVID came, I thought, how can I help people? I don't have any money, like literally any money. I can't buy things. I can't even give anything. Like, how can I help people? So I posted in an online Facebook group. I said, I'm going to do some free readings. I want to help some people right now. Send me a photo. And I had something like 600 photos come in. And I was like, whoa. I did, I think maybe 20. And they were all incredibly accurate. And my husband and his business brain was like, there's a market for this. And I was like,
it's not a business idea.
here's a market, babe. And I was like, yeah, I feel like there is. And so I think I started charging maybe like $20, like nothing, but just that transaction of, oh, you can get paid. And, for me, abundance mindset is when there's anything coming in, it feels really good. It's not just like, oh my God, there's no movement in the bank account, if that makes sense. So it was like, okay, I just really completed, I guess, what I would say is an apprenticeship, getting paid not a lot, which now I tell people don't do that because you attract really horrible clients who are not invested.
Well,
But
I think it's also you attract people that just take, and it's
well,
like
yeah, if you're chucking $20 or something, you're not that invested in what the person has
that's
to
what I
say.
mean. Yeah.
But I feel like it was a really cool apprenticeship because it was like, let's give you the hard stuff first of all, And from there, I realized this is what I'm meant to be doing. And I said to my husband, I'm not doing that anymore. Even when it comes back, I'm not doing it. So we saw COVID as a blessing. Still not, but in some way, shape or form, a blessing. Because it's brought me to what I do now, which has evolved since then over the last 6 years. I was very predictions-based and mediumship, so bringing through people's loved ones and very much this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. But I realized I don't like that because it takes the power away. So if you come to me to find out what's going to happen in your future, cool, like I'm going to get the ego, yeah, I was so right when you tell me it was all right. But you have control over your future, right? And you can change
free will,
things.
isn't it?
There's free will. There's things that are there, and I still think predictions can be powerful when you need a boost or you're trying to conceive a baby and you're like, I just need some hope or whatever. But for me, I love, as you said before, the pattern disruption. So if you come to me for a session and you're like, my relationship's struggling, like, are we going to be together forever? I'm like, bro, let's put that down for a second. We'll dive into that soon. How are you feeling? This is what I'm picking up around your relationship. This is what I'm picking up about your core wound, right? Because it comes down to our core wounds. So when our partner says something that touches on our core wound, we're like, oh, so we're like, I'm not enough. He thinks I'm not enough. He's not happy.
Yeah.
He's going to leave me. I'm going to pull away. And so what I notice is the patterns that you don't notice in yourself because you're too close to it. And I go, how do we redirect this pattern? How do we unpack where this started? Because often it starts in the kitchen when you're 7 years old and you ask your mum for something when she's really busy, which as a mum I can so relate, and she's like, stop it, don't be annoying, go away, right? And then you write into your brain, if I need help, I'm annoying and I don't feel loved in that moment because your 7-year-old brain is writing the story. So you're like, don't ask anyone for help and people will love you more, right? Which as an adult is ridiculous. But I can tell you that probably 80% of humans, especially women, are running that narrative. I'm less lovable if I need something from someone.
Absolutely. I know it's interesting you talk about this. And I said to you pre-show that it's such a big game for me, the pattern disruptor, in
Mhm.
terms of what you're doing,
Mhm.
and from a neuroscience, a science
Yeah.
perspective, like to be able to, come in and disrupt that pattern in a way. Like
Mhm.
I've got my own tool that I use with some of my clients where it's like, okay, you keep doing the same pattern.
Mhm.
What are you going to do to interrupt it? And
Yes.
so like it's pulling something like it's almost like I'm in this pattern. So how do I
Mhm.
pull myself out of it?
Yeah.
And what do I do to interrupt it?
Yep.
And if you keep practicing that interrupt,
Mhm.
you'll sooner or later break the pattern. I mean, it's obviously you go deeper
Yeah.
with regards to this. We've
Mhm.
all got patterns and we don't know half the time, don't even realize we're stuck in the pattern.
And they're also often created from something minor. So, like that event in the kitchen that your mum probably never thought of again. Because there's certainly been times when I'm like, leave me alone to my
Yeah,
kids, right? But
yeah,
we all have these moments when we write down what that means, right? And we live by a rule that is not even true. And so we can go back to that situation in the kitchen and be like, what do you think was really going on with your mum in that moment? Oh, she was on the phone to my school. She was cooking dinner and then dad was asking her something and then I asked her for something. So was it about you asking for something or was it about your mum being overstimulated and overburdened in that moment? And they're like, oh my
yeah,
God, it wasn't about me. And so the vulnerability, I absolutely love. It's my favorite thing to do is to pull the vulnerability out of people in a really safe way. Because when we're vulnerable, we stop pretending and that's how we break open.
yeah,
That's how we are seen in full and that's how we are loved in full. And if you think of any of your close friends, relationships, those bonding moments come from the mess, right? When we're actually like breaking down, we allow someone to help us or we help them. That's when we actually bond. Not when we're like, everything is fantastic and I'm on top of the world. Like those friendships mean nothing.
yeah. And I agree. Do you think women in particular, like, do you think there's a real stigma around the need to have this external, like, perception, like,
Mm,
like you talked earlier around with the kids and the
yeah.
other mums, etc. Like,
Mm,
do you think women are still very much caught up on what everyone else
yes,
thinks about them from the outside versus what is going on the inside? Like,
absolutely.
do you think it's
Yeah.
worse than ever, or do you think it's getting better?
I see really positive signs in the clients that I work with that women are taking their power back and they're like, they've decided not to care as much anymore because they have to. But I mean, you only need to scroll Instagram to get so many messages about where you're maybe not enough, because you're not taking peptides or you're not on Ozempic or you're not lifting enough weight or you're not eating enough protein or maybe you're
Yeah,
not making enough money and you didn't have a
yeah,
100K month last month. So, your 20K month is nothing because you didn't make 100. So there's this constant like social media is very much you're not enough, you're not enough, you're not enough, you're not enough, right? So that is louder than ever. But I would like to say that I am seeing a shift with the women who intentionally do the work.
yeah,
They don't have to feel that way. But I think if we're not sure of who we are and what's important to us, then we are going to be comparing ourselves with everybody. And we all
yeah.
have different seasons, right? Like we all have different seasons where other things are important to us than they are
Yeah.
to her.
Yeah, and I wrote comparison down earlier, so it's
Yeah.
so funny you bring that up. I also think with the seasons, right? I
Mm.
don't know about, I love your thought on this. I just feel like some people have longer seasons than others, and
Yeah.
quite often will compare and go, "Why is this taking so
Mm.
long?" If you think about, a business or starting your own
Yeah.
business, like it's a different journey for everyone, and
Mhm.
you might need to go deeper within to really break open those patterns or whatever. I feel
Yes.
like I've been on the longest season in terms of evolution, inside out transformation myself. And I know when I look outside and start comparing myself, going, why have I got it all together?
Mm.
That's I derail again. And so it's like,
Yeah.
stop, Belinda, just
So
stop.
no one has it all together. Like I've worked with the most outwardly together women ever, and I think, why are they booking with me? Because I'm very, I'm very honest in like not having my shit together. Like it's part of my magic, But I somehow always make it work. And I have these polished, incredible women come to me, and they're just the same as me, and they have just the same fears as I do, but often they're unhappier because they are packaged in this perfect little deal that they
Yeah,
think they have to be. Whereas when you stop pretending, you give everyone else permission to stop pretending too. And that is like the biggest gift that you can give to humanity is to stop far out pretending. Like,
agree.
because we all pretend and we all like, how I'm great, how's kids so good? And you're just lying most of the time. So it's like,
Yeah.
can you just crack open? And when you stop pretending, you can't start pretending again. Like, I do not show up where I have to be fake. I do not show up where I have to present a certain way.
No, I'm the same as you.
Hmm.
And like what you
Oh,
see is what you get, right? Like
yeah.
I said to you at the start today, I'm standing up today. You're like, yep,
Yeah.
cool.
Cool.
Like I don't have to I don't have the big microphone in front of
No.
me, all that sort of stuff. I want to come right back to prediction.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to I haven't asked this question before, and
Sure.
I've seen psychics over the years. I was telling you, like I've got my quite a sixth sense. My question to you is, and I know you've obviously, you brought up about prediction, and it was really interesting what you talked about there. Because do you find, and I know that I've done it when I've been completely, what would be the word I'm looking for? Seeking seeking the answers
Mm-hmm.
externally, that I've gone to see, a different, and I'm not dissing psychics in any
Yep.
way, shape, or at all, right? But I guess where I'm going with this is I've sometimes gone to see a psychic to get this is what's going to happen
Mm-hmm.
next.
Yeah.
And like almost like this external validation when
Mm-hmm.
actually what's going to happen next is coming from in here. It's telling me
Absolutely.
next and having a guide to help you.
Mm.
And when the prediction hasn't actually gone to plan,
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of almost been a little bit, believe it or not, pissed off at
Yeah.
times, like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and so I'm really intrigued because when I said free will before is
Mm-hmm.
because nothing is actually, what's the word? Nothing is actually like tomorrow could be, you might think tomorrow's going to
Yeah.
happen. Nothing is really like predictable,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Or,
Absolutely. And it's
yeah,
it's it's
yeah,
something I have a love-hate relationship with because as I said before, sometimes it can be really powerful when you're just feeling out of control and you just need some reassurance
yes,
that everything's going to be
yes,
fine. So often people come to me and say, "We're trying to buy a house and it's not happening. Like, when do you see us moving? Like, I'm at the end of my tether living with my parents or something." And I'll be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not seeing until November, but it is going to be XYZ and here's what you can do in the process while you wait for it, right? Here's why it's taking time." And then they suddenly go, "Okay, I can relax a little bit until the
yeah,
time is right."
yes,
Because otherwise, we get in our masculine, we get in, I have to make this happen and it's not happening. And the
yes,
universe is literally like holding us back, saying, "Babe, like, you're not ready. It can't happen right now." And that's always for a reason, which makes sense in time, right? It always makes
yeah,
sense in time.
absolutely.
We are not, I like to say we have 5% control over our life, right? But that 5% is massive in terms of how we heal, and how we deal with things. Like, you could be thrown the most horrible circumstance, but you can kind of float through it sometimes. Sometimes it's going
Yeah,
to knock you, but you might move through it easier than someone else because you've done the work and you're aware of yourself.
yeah,
So I feel like predictions are great and you need something to anchor to, right? When you
yeah,
just need something to anchor to. But so again, like, trying to conceive a baby, that can be one of the times when women just feel so out of control because they're like, I just don't know. And am I doing something wrong? Like, what do I need to? What do I need to? And often it's just about timing. It's literally just about the
yeah,
universe is going to send you that baby when ready. Just wait, and they can be really heartbreaking to answer. But a lot of the time, I'm going deeper than the question that I'm being asked. So if someone says to me like, boyfriend and I are going to be together forever, I roll my eyes. I do. I'm like, oh, fuck me. That's not set in stone. Like, I'm 25 years in and we have to work hard
well, that's what
daily.
I'm gonna ask you. It's a lot of it's a lot of pressure on you as a
Yeah.
psychic, and hence why I love this pattern
Yeah.
disruptor piece as
Mm-hmm.
well, because you must get people that are coming to you just
Yeah.
demanding,
Yes.
give me the prediction, give me the answer. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this comes back to, really around what you're talking about here.
Mm.
It's like you gotta do some, there's like you gotta do some of the work too here.
You got to
Like
do the
it's
work.
not
100%.
just going to be given to you. And I think
Yeah.
this is coming back to power, isn't it? In terms of take the
100%.
power back, bring the power back to you.
Yeah.
That, yeah, like I just think it's a really interesting spins the wrong way, but you know what I'm
No,
saying? Like I just,
yeah. And I think you have to be really mindful of who you trust with getting predictions from. So I have a
yeah,
psychic that I love. I adore her. And I love the way that she reads, and she reads in a really empowering way that helps me go like, yeah, go bigger, like take the leap. So that was essentially when I had a reading about 6 months ago. She's like, you need to take the leap, like do it, just put it out there, go for it. I don't know what it is, but take the leap. And I knew that that was about my book. So every time I faltered, I was like, take the leap, girl, like push yourself. But if you like, psychics can be really detrimental too, particularly if they're not aware of their own stuff, right? I'm very self-aware. I've done a lot of work on myself. Some people will say, oh no, that relationship is doomed, or you're going to break up when you're
Yeah.
60. That's not helpful for anyone. And I
No,
truly
I'm
believe
so
we
glad
don't,
you're saying that. I'm
yeah,
so glad you're saying that.
don't see, I don't believe that we see or have previews to the bad things that are going to happen in our life, right? Because imagine if you sat here and I was like, so in 10 years, this is going to happen, and this person's going to do this, and blah, blah, blah. You'd be like, I don't want to be alive anymore. That all sounds horrible. I don't want to know. I do not want to know any of
I
that.
agree.
And I don't believe that our guides would ever give us any of that information,
Yeah,
right? So
I
they're here to
agree.
hold our hand whilst we have a really human experience, which is not comfortable and fluffy and nice all the time. So
No, it's so not. I've got a couple of questions for you
sure,
to, and in terms of, I want to bring it back to like a career and success.
sure.
And, there's a lot of spiritual coaches out there. There's
Mm,
a lot of different, like, I guess for me, alternative ways
mm,
of, you talk about abundance. I love abundance.
yeah.
We're in this such a new world.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, don't call it a new world. It is a new world. It's so,
Yeah.
it's evolving by the day. The
Mm-hmm.
power, like the patriarchal power is shifting. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
just so many shifts happening. And then in terms of what we're talking about here, it has so much potential just to go in and disrupt
Yep.
corporate as we know it, business as we know it,
Mm-hmm.
leaders, founders, etc. Because what we're talking about here is beyond just psychic power. It's pattern disruption. It's
Mm-hmm.
also coming back to like, as a leader, as someone that's a founder like you and I, if you're disconnected, your business is disconnected,
Yep.
everything's disconnected, your team's disconnected. And so for me, where I'm going with this is, it's a business needs to be internally aligned as well.
Yeah.
You talk to do you have these conversations? Are you having these conversations with the clients that you have? And are you seeing that there's a
Yeah.
real
So
opportunity in this space to
I
really,
feel that it's shifting. I feel like a lot of people have woken up and gone, I don't like my life, right? And I actually think that that's really powerful. I mean, it's very confronting. You're like, oh no, built this business, that's so successful and I
yeah,
hate it. And if I'm honest, I used to say that a lot pre-COVID. I'd be like, I hate this business. I hate it, right? But there was no way out because we had 25 employees.
yeah,
We needed the money. Like they needed the money. But I was like, I hate this. It's so stressful. Like a Saturday night would be absolute chaos. And I hated it, but I didn't see a way out. And there's a lot of people who have that. They go, oh my God, I actually hate what I'm doing. But like, people are proud of me. That's when we talk about external validation. They're like, oh, but I like my title and people are proud of me. I'm like, are you? Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't actually matter who else is proud
great.
of you, right? So I feel like if we all come here with a purpose and it feels good to live in our purpose and work in our purpose, not all the time. Sometimes you're like, I don't want to send emails. I don't want to send marketing emails. I don't want to, but it's part of what I have to do what I need to do, right? Imagine if we all lived a life that actually felt good to us. Not all the time, because it sucks sometimes, right? The way that we show up in work would be different. The things that we're trying to prove to others would be totally different. And so I do feel it shifting, but I do feel it's still a little a little while back. But I see people.
Great. No, I agree. And
Yeah.
I think it's people like you, it's people like myself. Like,
Mm,
how do we bring this more
yeah.
in?
Hmm.
Because it's not woo woo.
I often will say to people, are you happy? Like, so when they're talking to me about their business,
Yeah.
I'll say, that's so cool. Like, that's awesome. Like, well done. Because I love business and I love the mechanics of money and structure and all that kind of stuff as well. But then I say, like, do you love it? Are you happy? And most of the time they'll just deflate like a balloon and say, no. And I say, cool. Everything that you've learned, we're going to take to what you actually want to do. But first
Yeah.
of all comes the ego death of losing things and scaling back. And who am I if I'm not the CEO of this company?
Talk to me about like the dark night of the soul and like ego death is real. Like, oh
Yeah,
my gosh,
it
that's another
is.
podcast in itself. Like
It
I
is.
like feel like I had to have everything and
Yeah.
back to bear. Like even yesterday, I looked up supplement just went, how much more?
How much
How
more?
much
Yeah.
stripping back?
Yeah.
So,
And I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that's the thing. So with my son especially, like he did not care if you were the school principal, who you were. He would treat you how you treated them. There was no hierarchy, there was no authority. And even with his illness, when he was really unwell, the head gastroenterologist would be telling him something. And if that didn't align with what he knew to be true, he was not having it, right? And of
yeah,
course, people at the top of the hospital, they don't like that. Talking about ego, there's a lot of ego there. So
yeah.
for me, it's really, I love the way that he just sees the human. He doesn't care about any of that. There's no
You know, like,
care in the world. And it's like, cool, cool, cool. Underneath all that, who are you? Right? And I feel like when we start asking people those questions, underneath being the CEO, the millionaire, the head doctor, whatever, who are you? Most of the time, they don't know.
I know. I did 4 years ago. I had no idea what it was, hence why
Yeah.
I've for Cliff.
Yeah.
Okay, so final question for
Sure.
you is also like a, I guess, a one for the listeners.
Sure.
You know, whenever we can be aligned and then we fall out of
Yeah.
alignment. You know, it's a constant like
Mm.
work in progress. If you like, well, I think it is. You might think differently. I just feel like you know you've got to reground yourself,
Yeah.
like that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What in terms of what advice or what do you tell your clients or people, any listener here right now who is feeling like they're misaligned, they don't know who they are, and if we bring it right back to this pattern disrupt, what's the first thing you would suggest they do or say to them, or
Mm.
you know, if they're feeling rattled?
Yeah. So I feel like sometimes it's like, okay, what are you being shown right now, right? So it's not the race, it's not the rush and the race to get out of that feeling, because often we do that. Like, I feel like shit, my life's not aligning. I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
What do I do? And it's like, how about you just feel that for a sec? How about you're like,
yeah,
okay, my life is falling apart. I don't know what I'm doing. Can I be okay with that? And
mm,
normally, once we get okay with that, it starts to move, right? So I've actually written a chapter about this in my book called The Void. I'm like, why am I in the void again? I thought I knew what I was doing with my life. Like, what? And it's like, you're in the void. Get over it. Just sit here for a sec. Like,
yeah.
just
It's
be in the void.
uncomfortable.
Sit on the couch. Eat Uber. Like, eat Uber Eats. Close the curtains. Light some candles. Like, just cry. Whatever. Just sit in the void, and then you'll find you'll naturally start to float out of it and go, oh, maybe I want to do this. So the first step is releasing the pressure. Like, why do you have to have the answers? Why do you need to know? And one of my best friends has been in my voice notes the last couple of days about certainty. She's like, I'm chasing certainty. I keep catching myself chasing certainty. So often we're like, okay, so if I'm not that, who am I? And it's like, I don't know. You got to find out, don't you? You've got to find yourself in the unknown. I remember my brother, I had a studio for a while, and then we got the notice that the studio was being demolished. And it was like, I'd only been there for like 6 months and I was devastated. It makes sense because then my son got really sick. So divine timing makes, But I remember I was on the phone to my brother, and I'm the elder sister, and he said to me, what are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. Then I remember I just let out this exhale, and I was like, it's such a relief to actually admit, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what my next phase is. I don't need the answers. I don't know. And I actually was like, my brother goes, and I was at Bunnings at the time. My brother goes, what about working at Bunnings for a bit? Get a discount on all your renos in your garden. And I was like, I could do that. And there was no ego attached. Instead of like, oh, I'm a
No,
business
I
owner, blah, blah,
agree.
blah, blah, blah. I was like, that sounds nice. I did never had to do that. But remember just being like, who cares? It doesn't matter if I do. There's nothing wrong with that. And I
Yeah, I
feel like,
agree.
yeah, so it's that element of like, what you do actually means nothing in the scheme of your life. So get over yourself. Get over
That
yourself. That'd probably be my advice. Love you, but
you
get over
still,
yourself.
yeah, someone actually said this to me a while ago, like not directly, although I need it sometimes. Get over yourself. Get
Yeah.
out of the way of
Mm-hmm.
your ego. And I think if we could all just get more out
Yeah.
of the way of our ego, we would actually move forward, or we
Mm-hmm.
would bounce forward a lot more. I don't want to use the word faster.
Yeah.
We would just evolve more. We would evolve quicker. Like, do you
I
know what I
think,
mean?
yeah, the flow would be less disruptive is maybe a way to say it.
Yeah.
Instead, because we want everything fast, but it's like it does shift faster and it doesn't pull us down as deeply. And sometimes I say to people as well, go to the bottom of the ocean, right? So we're spending so much energy going, I don't want to go to the bottom of the ocean. I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to drown. And I'm like, swim down there, see what's down there. I
Well,
promise
it's
you'll
so
get
good.
down
Yeah.
there and you'll come back up, right? And you'll be like, oh, I'm all right. But we're like, I
Yeah.
don't want to feel sad. Feel sad. You're allowed to feel sad.
Yeah, that's so good. Janelle, how do we find out more about everything you're doing? How do
Everything.
we, like, yeah,
Yeah.
like, how do we speak to you about going down to the bottom of the ocean?
People are like, I don't want to go to the bottom of the ocean. It's
How do
scary.
we
It is
find out more
scary.
about your book? Like, I'm going to get your book. Like, where do we
Uh,
go?
JanelleBridge.com. My website. My Instagram is a little bit more interactive, a little bit more me. So that's just, this is Janelle Bridge. But my website has ability to book a mini reading, which is like I will tap in and answer you with a voice record, which is always a really powerful way to do that. You can book a one-on-one session, or you can grab my book from there as well.
Amazing. Janelle, you are such a bright light. It's been
Oh,
such a
thank you.
beautiful conversation. I really enjoyed it. And it's always just, I don't know, it's kind of funny. The universe has like some days I have like the same pattern of
Yeah.
conversation in a good way. And then sometimes I'll have someone like yourself where I'm like, I needed this conversation today for
Yes.
myself. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like the reminder, like it's so funny how it works. It's like intuition. It's kind of
Hmm.
like you said. It's like we only guide 5% of what's actually
Mm.
really happening
And I say
to us.
that often in sessions. I'll be like, okay, this advice is for me too. Noted. You've come into my world because I also need to hear what I'm telling you. Let me
Totally, totally. I'm just so
help.
grateful for that. No, Janelle, thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful soul. So thank you so much, and
Thank you.
have a wonderful rest of the day. Stay warm.
Yes, you too.
Take care. Thanks,
See
Janelle.
ya. Bye.
Thanks.